So people come to me and they'll say, Steve, I'm having so much trouble in my relationship, particularly my intimate relationship. It's so difficult, and what can I do? And one of the first things that I encourage them is to be compassionate with themselves, because all that judgment and blame, I'm screwed up, and I'll never have a good relationship, and all that judgmental energy toward themselves or their partner just makes everything worse. And that to really start with a compassionate understanding of ourselves. And for me, part of that is to recognize that the way that we were brought up in a dominator culture, many of those fundamental things that we learned are directly antithetical to being able to create loving, intimate relationships. And that we need to be able to identify these. And this is part of what I like to teach and to coach, is like, we have to kind of lift up the hood, look inside at how our minds have been shaped by a dominator culture, to see what those components are, and let go of those beliefs and those practices and develop new practices, new beliefs that actually will create loving relationships. And as it turns out, most of those are just the natural ways of being human. It's like the natural ways of being human are to be peaceful and loving and connected with each other. Obviously not all the time. If you look at children, you can see there's things that happen that are not always peaceful, loving, connected. But if you like Gandhi said, that it's not natural to be violent. That's habitual to be violent. Or Marshall Rosenberg says, the most satisfying thing, the most natural thing for a human being to do is to want to contribute to life, their own or somebody else's. So the first thing to do is to recognize that we've been taught to think in these very violent ways. What does that mean? That when our needs aren't getting met, we usually go to some kind of name-calling, blaming kind of thing. We either turn it on ourselves or we turn it on someone else. I'm such a failure. I'm such an idiot. I'm so selfish. I'm such a loser. Or the other person you're talking about. They're such idiots. They're so selfish. Right? So Marshall calls that a tragic expression of an unmet need. Right? So we turn these voices of judgment on ourselves, on each other, and it creates more tension and distance, instead of actually being able to touch in, connect with ourselves, and to know what we're feeling and to know what we're needing. So that's like one of the first places I go to people, is recognize that we've been taught to think and to speak in ways that create more separation, pain, violence, and makes it very unlikely that when we relate to each other like that, that we will know how to, will want to, or be able to relate to each other in ways that are mutually meeting each other's needs.